And like I said, this last video is basically just about me. Like I said, my name is Mike Wimbish. I've lived in, like I said, I was born in Hartford back in 1961, and like I said, I've lived in Bloomfield, Connecticut, pretty much the majority of my life, and I'll say I went to school. Like I said, I went to school back in Blue Hill School back in 1967 when I was 6 years old. I went to Blue Hill School, and then in third grade I went to Vincent School, and then shortly after that I had went to middle school back in '75, and then junior high and high school. But I'll say my main my mom basically says when I was little, I had a little hard time trying to speak, so she took me to Newington Children's Hospital when I was 3 years old, and then after that, when she was trying to determine why I wasn't speaking, she also suggested that I go to the Institute of Living. I went there in Hartford. I went there when I was 4. I was there for like 2 years. Then I finally was able to, like I said, go to kindergarten. I've been there off and on from, let's say, 1965 to 1990. But other than that, like I said, back in the 1970s, I'll say 1974, the spring and summer of 1974, I started collecting comic books for the first time, and like I said, I was reading mostly, like the Fantastic Four was my first team series, and I also read a little bit with Spider-Man, Captain America, and X-Men came later on, and then a year after that, 1975, 1976, I started also reading the DC Comics superheroes with Superman, Batman, Flash, and the Justice League. And I did that. I started, like I said, collecting when comic books were 25 cents. And then after that, I went to my first comic book convention in I'll say November or so of 1976. That's when I first started going to comic conventions, going to comic book stores, and after that, I really haven't been doing too much as far as that. I've been building my comic books up slowly, and I also had my record collection as well that I started back in like 1978. I was collecting 12-inch dance singles that I would buy in from, let's say, 1978 to early 1980s, especially around 1982 to 1988. I would collect the 12-inch dance singles, and I would also, when they were on the radio, I would record them on my using my cassette player. I would record that, and other than that, I figure I worked my first job in 1983. I was 20. I first started my first job. I was 22 years old. I know I started late, and then like I said, as far as let's say, I didn't really start driving until 1978, 79. But other than that, I'm just going to say the short version would be shortly after I left my first job, I had my father had told me when I was going to the comic shows I should eventually run my own, and I finally did in September 1991. I ran a show in Windsor Oaks. I did that for a couple of years. Then I went to California for 3 years, and then I came back. I was in California in 1994. I came back from there in 1998, and then I got my second job. I worked in Glastonbury as a mail clerk at All America Financial, and then I went to Stop. Then I went to Stop and Shop for a year. Then again, like I said, I know I'm probably doing some stuff out of order, but like I said, I did go to California from October 1994 to January of 1998. And then, like I said, I worked at All America from 1998 to 2003. The thing about that is the one main thing that was the best job that I had working as a mail clerk, and also what happened is during 2002, during the spring of 2002, for like 4 months, I took the bus there because my car wasn't working. And the good thing about the All America job where I was a mail clerk, they had noticed that I was on the bus, and they figured I was. Back in November of 2002, the people at the job put up a collection to help me buy a car, and that was very nice of them. So I finally got a car in November of 1992, and I had that for 12 years. And other than that, I had also, like I said, back in 2003, and wasn't really active until 2007 or 2008. I finally started doing stuff online, like selling stuff on eBay and briefly Amazon. I was doing that until like 2008, 2009 when I really started getting good, and then I took a break from that and I started that again like 2 or 3 years later. Right now I'm mostly doing stuff at the library, and eventually I want to be able to try to like do videos and do stuff on YouTube, and eventually, like I said, I am on Facebook almost every day. I do have like I said, I have my name, Mike Wimbish, on Facebook, and I also started like maybe 2 or 3 months ago. I also started a YouTube channel where I have like 820 videos. They're mostly dance and DJ oriented videos that I started, and other than that, I'm eventually going to be doing more internet related stuff. So that's the brief introduction of who I am. Like I said, my name is